Interest rates are going up. Trying to get ahead is mighty, mighty tough. Bill collectors at my door. I need someone to help me raise my credit score.
Welcome back to the Polto Show. Again, another show. As I always say at the beginning, what does it take to get your attention? Well, I think tonight's show is going to be one of those shows. To some, my guests will feel at ease. I try to make my guests feel at ease, and the reason why I try to make my guests feel at ease is when I had Doctor on, I had scrubs on. When I had the bandstand show, I wore a bandstand shirt. Well, what do I have on today? My Italian shirt. Why? Because I'm Italian. You know, I have a nationality shirt on. When you hear the word Italian, what do you think of? Well, many of you out there think of the mob. Well, I'm not in the mob. But when you hear about certain nationalities, when you hear of Jewish people, you think of money, money, money. And then we have people that come into this country, and we talk about them behind their backs, and they're afraid that they're going to say something. Well, tonight, we're going to do a special show on this. But before I bring and talk about tonight's topic, I have to, which I'm very much impressed, Ron, the producer, and myself are working on, as we've been saying it on Facebook and everything else, the Skype. And many of you, we're drawing you to my website, www.pearlpoltoshow.net. And the reason why, I cannot wait until Josie Brennan is on our show. And as I said, I have the CD is called Crazy Week. And this CD, I think I wore it out. And when she's on, you know, she's going to know. But that one song, I Should Know. Now, where could you get this? Well, there's a couple places you can get it. If you go on my website, www.pearlpolto.net, or you go to www.amazon.pearlpolto.net, because we're affiliated with Amazon. You can actually get the CD to buy it for yourself or for a friend for this holiday. And let me tell you, you know, I've heard much music. I'm a singer myself one time. But this person, this song, she gets to be, and I can't wait to have her on as a guest. You know, it's like a countdown. But don't forget, www.amazon.pearlpolto.net. And if you go to my website, you're going to see a lot of changes. You're going to like the changes. It's the Pearl Polto store. That's where you're going to see this at. You're going to see many changes there that you haven't seen on my website. And also, I was a guest on the Trudy Haynes Show, and I will be a guest on again on the Trudy Haynes Show. And there's so much coming to the Pearl Polto Show. I can't thank enough people for even getting your attention. Tonight's show, I know will get your attention because I really didn't want to do this show tonight. Why? I'm not prejudiced. I'm not prejudiced of anybody out there. And a lot of people, they talk about different nationalities behind people's backs. I think it's wrong. And I think it's wrong. My guest tonight was not born in this country, but sometimes she doesn't even want to be in this country. Well, I'm going to give her the opportunity to say it like it is without yelling and screaming, because the last time we yelled and screamed is when I had the bill collector on the show, and we all know what happened there. If you watched it, she walked off the stage. My guest today does not speak for all of her nationalities. That's one. She doesn't speak for all the Indians out there. Just like I don't speak for all the Italians out there. But my guest is coming forward. Why? Yes, she's angry. She's angry at what's happening to her personally. And she blames it generally on Americans. Most foreigners want to say, what is she doing? What is she so afraid? But I have to give her credit. And I have to give her credit for speaking her mind, because I speak my mind all the time. And some say that the American jobs, because the Americans are too stupid. Well, I've heard this over and over again. I'm sure you have too. I have many questions to ask my guest because she came to this country, not because of a topic. Now, many reasons. Let me tell you the reasons why a lot of immigrants that come to this country think of Americans. They think we're fat, lazy, ignorant, bad grammar, spelling, English. selfish, thinking the world revolves around us. Oh, let me tell you about myself. Let me tell you about my book. No, excuse me. Can't do that tonight. And they think we're rude at times. And it's only a few of the reasons that I have heard. I want to know, I've had many questions to ask, and many of you emailed me to ask her questions as well. But, why do foreigners come to this country? That's one. Well, they come to this country, and this is what I have heard and read. They come to this country for the American dream. Well, obviously, during this election and everything else, we're not even sure we have the dream here. But some people were found to be entering even American illegally. Well, why does everybody want to come to America? And then when they come to America, they hate it. Well, they don't hate America. They hate us. But why would they hate us? There has to be a reason in back of it. People immigrate to places because we all hear the United States is the land of opportunity. I've been to other countries. I've been to countries where they were so strict, I couldn't wait to come back here. And when we did get back here, we kissed the ground. And yet, I was always curious. There's so many people out there that are from another country. They come to this country, and then they say they're afraid to talk. That's why I have to admire the guest that I have on, even though I disagree with her. But I admire her because she's going to say it like it is, and I say it like it is. If I don't like you as a person, I don't like you as a person, not because of your nationality. I don't care who you are or what you are. I don't care if you're blue or pink. But as long as you say it like it is, and not just say it and then talk behind my back, I will respect you. And I think the average American will respect you. But we have a problem, I do believe. We have a problem in this country. And when things go wrong, who do we blame? We will say, the foreigners. But it's interesting because to her, we're foreigners. Well, I want to welcome my guest. Her name is Nina, and she's so bold, and I love it because she said, call me by my right name. Nina, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you now. Nina, where were you born?
I was born in India.
You were born in India. Okay. Now, what age were you when you came to the United States?
I migrated here when I was 4.
When you were 4 years old?
4 years old.
Okay, because your parents came here.
I came with them.
Would you know why your parents came here?
I believe my grandfather had decided for us to migrate to the States for a better education and a better lifestyle.
A better lifestyle. So, okay, let's go to that first. What's India like? And why would Indians want to come here to the United States? I mean, I was told India is rich, poor.
Well, basically, it depends on what you want out of life.
Okay.
And my grandfather had the vision for his grandchildren to be well educated.
Okay.
And
so there's no colleges or schools in India?
And able to progress in life.
Okay.
And in India, it's not tough to get an education.
Right.
But your opportunities are limited.
Your opportunities are limited. I hear you now. Your opportunities were limited there. And yet I've heard you say before the show, which we'll go into, I want to go back. I might want to go back.
I might want to go back from my personal experiences here of what I'm facing.
Okay, we're going to go into that. I spoke to another Indian girl.
Okay.
And she said, we were talking about discriminations and all, and she said she was afraid to take the bus. And I said, why are you afraid to take the bus? She said, because I was by myself and they see that I'm Indian and I'm afraid they're going to attack me. Where is the mental state of anybody that you would know as a foreigner? Would you go on the bus afraid that anybody was attack you or what?
I'm fearless. I'm not scared of anybody.
Okay, well, you're fearless of anything, obviously. But you came into this country. you wanted a better education, right?
Better education, a better lifestyle.
What stopped you from thinking that the American dream is not the American dream? Is it American dream or is it the people?
I believe it's the people.
Okay, now I'm an American, but I'm also Italian. I don't,
It's fine.
Okay, I'm an American. And how do you want me to treat you?
Like everybody else, just wants respect.
Why aren't they giving you
Basically.
respect? Because you're Indian?
I believe
Dark
it's
skin?
Dark skin.
No,
I'm a foreigner.
no.
Yes, it
no.
is. It
Do you think
is
it is?
partly because of that.
Well,
And I say it exactly how it is. I've mentioned it to several of my friends that
Because you're dark
why are
skinned.
you treating me differently, or why can't we go out in public,
right.
or why can't we move to the next level because I'm a shade darker, because I'm Indian? What is it?
All right, no, wait a minute. You see, I'm going to go against you here because I'm Italian. I'm also dark skinned. And I know from growing up, I was used to it. I was dark skinned because I'm olive. I was Italian. But when I did a topic one time on the radio, my father said, Pearl, we're discriminated too. The Italians, we couldn't go to church because we were dark skinned. We weren't allowed in our church. I said, get out. And she said, no, because we were dark skinned. I said, well, if that's the case, why are there sun tanning booths all over the place and everybody's wants to turn dark like Italians or whatever? So, I mean, you're laughing. I laugh too.
That's different.
Well, why is it different?
That's different because you're paying for a service to get darker. We're naturally dark.
So isn't that a compliment? You don't have to pay?
That's a whole different ballgame.
Okay, it's a whole different ballgame. But when you came into this country and what was your first job that you got, your first job that you felt discriminating against, that you felt somebody was against you? And then that you believed because you were dark-skinned or Indian?
I believe I've held many jobs over the years, starting at 13, but where I felt that discrimination was at Estee Lauder.
Okay.
I worked in a distribution center, and I wanted to move to the next level. And I went to the director and said, I'm able to speak English, read English, and write English. I'm able to understand every word you say. So I wanted to see if I would be able to move up in the position. And he says, give me 6 months and then we'll see what we can do. So I was accurate about the time, and I went to him after 6 months and I said, well, what happened to, your decision about moving me up?
Right.
And he says, oh, I'm going to have to get back with you on that. So I went home, gave them a couple weeks, and I said, I'm not going to continue doing something where I have the capability of doing much more. I'm not going to limit myself to this position.
Okay.
So I was there probably for 1 year. And after some time, I quit. And my mother also works there at this facility. And my mother went to him because my mother was like good friends with the director. And she questioned him and said, well, why weren't you able to move my daughter up? And he said, I would have never moved her up.
What
But
was the reason?
he didn't give her a specific reason.
But you thought because you were...
And I believe, I strongly believe, because I was Indian and of, Indian origin, and I wasn't white, I was treated that way.
Do you believe... Now, here's what statements
And
that I hear.
that's not the first place where I've felt that. I've held other jobs, and I have felt the same way.
But maybe you're not as qualified as the white person.
No,
Or you
no.
say the white person is lazy. That's why they hire foreigners.
Maybe.
So
that company is run by Indians.
Oh.
And these Indians are qualified. I mean, they have degrees.
Right.
But because of the credentials that don't match up according to the American standards, they hold on to these jobs in the factories.
So they have to hire, you're saying, Americans and not the Indians?
No, they hire the Indians.
They hired the
They
Indians.
hire the Indians because they're more stable.
Okay, let's stop there. What do you mean more stable? More stable than Americans? Then you are saying Americans are lazy. And I've heard this before.
More stable in meaning that they show up to work on time. They're very punctual. They'll hold on to the position.
Why? Why do they do
longer.
it? Now, what's wrong with Mary Jane and the American
Because-
and Nina, who it shows up every day? What's the difference?
I don't basically know the American mentality, but I'll tell you our mentality. If I'm getting benefits from an XYZ company, they're giving me 40 hours, they're giving me everything I need to support my family, why wouldn't I just stay at that position and be stable?
Right.
Then fish around, and I'm taking chances.
So you got fired.
Right.
And then you went to the next job.
So then I went to another job. I learned something new with every job.
And it's all the same.
It's with upper management it's the same
It's the upper management. So you think because you're a foreigner.
because I'm a foreigner.
But you call
I
us
feel that.
foreigners.
Oh, everybody's a foreigner if you're not the same. If you're not an Indian, I would look at you as a foreigner.
Now, if you were your age now and in your country, like you said, you were thinking about even going back. But what's there to go back to? Because
India
there's
has
no foreigners in your country,
India.
so what's
there
there
are
to go back to?
Actually, there are many foreigners that are migrating to India
Why?
because number one, the lifestyle.
What's the lifestyle there? It's different than here.
There are no servants here.
There's no servants
There are no
here.
cooks. There are no drivers.
Excuse me. Then why would Indians want to come to the United States if you have all the rich people there?
Many of them have migrated back.
So many of Indians, when they were here,
They come
migrate
here.
back.
They come here to get their degrees, and they see the lifestyle. They're not able to adapt to that lifestyle, so they take their credentials and migrate back to India.
Now, wait a minute. Now, I'm going to be on the defense of the Americans now because every Dunkin' Donuts store is
That's
run
fine.
by an Indian.
Right.
Why?
Those Indians are the ones who don't have a lot of educational background.
But they can own a store?
But they have families who support them financially. For example,
Over in India, you mean?
no, they have. For example, one Patel family can migrate to the States.
Okay.
They have some money. They save up a lot of money. Then they slowly call their other relatives, and they'll help put up a Dunkin' Donut,
Okay.
and then in partnership, share the money, share the profits, and that's the way they establish themselves. But not every family is that way.
And then they bring over from India.
And they call over their other relatives to help run the business.
Okay.
So they don't have to hire other employees.
Do they ever hire Americans?
They do hire other employees. They hire Americans. Yes.
Now, see, let me tell you the only thing I was impressed with the Indians when I was a notary, and I seen that people from India just can't come over here and collect welfare. Your country forbids it.
Yeah, they don't have any welfare.
They don't have welfare, but they don't want an Indian to come over here to collect welfare in the United States. I was impressed with that.
Many of them do.
Many of them collect welfare here.
I believe they do.
Well, then that changed from 10 years ago.
Oh, things have changed.
How easy it is. If there's Tom Jones is opening up a store and you walked in and an American walked in, you feel the American would get it.
I don't feel any insecurity when I walk in with an American. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But it depends on the employer. It depends.
But all employers are going to
It
be...
depends on the employer and what their needs are.
Have you ever yelled and screamed at an American? Have you ever yelled and screamed at an American?
I'll never yell and scream at anybody. Number one, it doesn't matter who they are.
Right.
But I don't like to cause friction between people.
Okay, but you see,
But
then you're
so
eating it up inside.
I will, if I have to, I'll say it how it is or how it's supposed to be. I will speak up.
Have you ever told a boss off? Any of your bosses that fired you? Because you're saying, here's what you're saying. You're saying,
I brought it to my boss's attention that what he was doing was wrong. Yes, I did make it clear, and he just asked me to leave the store.
but why would you say that Americans then are lazy if they're firing you?
This was
Why would you say, no, still, why would you say Americans are lazy
Well,
if they're
they are.
firing you?
They didn't fire me.
Well, okay,
I
you're
quit.
leaving, that you quit, whatever. But if Americans were lazy, they got your job. How could they be lazy?
No, they are lazy because number one, they want jobs that are 9 to 5. They don't want to work overtime.
Right.
Whereas the foreigners will work 16 to 18 hours and literally die for overtime or time and a half. And I have seen it.
Okay.
And most Americans just basically like the simple life, like 9 to 5.
Why do you think? Why do you feel?
I know it.
I know. I understand you know it, but why do you feel the Americans like the simple life?
I just more laid back, and they're so used to having foreigners, work overtime, work their shift, so they can have it easy.
Oh, is that what you believe?
I believe that.
That when I go into a shop,
I believe that.
then I'm going to say, let her work because she wants to work harder. In this economy,
I believe that.
This economy, even Americans want to work hard to get
Not
money.
all.
They're losing.
Not all.
What do you mean, not all?
Not
We're
all.
losing our homes here.
Not everybody.
How many Indians in this
disagree.
country? How many Indians have lost their homes?
I haven't heard of anybody.
Exactly. Now, how many Americans have you heard have lost their homes?
Money. That's
Yes,
money
many.
management. That's money management.
So Indians are more smarter than the Americans. That would no be you. what
With
you're
money,
saying.
with money, most are.
Most Indians are smarter than the Americans. Why? Because they all in Dunkin' Donuts?
No, nothing with Dunkin' Donuts and Subways, but
Because we've always talked about by saying,
basically-
how did they end up owning all these stores?
they like to conserve. They're very conservative with their money. They don't like to spend. Very frugal, I should say.
Okay, they don't like to spend. So this is why the Indians are not losing. Do the Indians get their mortgages? Do the Indians get what they want?
They get what they want.
And
Yeah.
yet, why would they be so prejudiced to the point where they'd want to go back to India like you?
I don't think it's just so much prejudice, but when you've seen the better life and lived it, you don't want to put up with bullshit.
Okay, what's the better life, though? What is the better life to you?
Well, having a cook, having a driver, having a 24-hour servant, that's a good life.
You had that in India.
I had that.
How many children do you have?
2.
2 children.
Two
Are they
children.
here or over India?
One is in India, one is here.
Okay. And now the one in India, is this the one with the servants and everything
Yes.
else over there? Now, my question is, why would she even want to come over here? To starvation, to our government, to
Well,
if you're
we're not
saying
starving at
Exactly.
I'm not starving at home.
you're not starving at home, but you're calling us lazy and you're getting it all. You're getting the American dream, and the Americans are not getting the American dream. We're losing our dream, which is our home. So we're the ones that should be prejudiced. Don't you agree? So you're jealous of us because
I'm not
of what
jealous
we're
of
doing.
Americans.
Okay, you don't like Americans for different reasons.
I disagree in the work environment of how they treat foreigners. That's the only
Now, how do they treat you? How do they treat
they
foreigners?
they don't treat us with respect. They don't think that we're intelligent enough to do our jobs and function the way we're supposed to. And they treat us like slaves.
Really?
Yes, that's what I
So you
felt.
resent that. You resent that because they're
So
treating
I
you.
have-
But didn't you say you're the one that wants to work 9 to 24/7? The white people don't.
I'm not working
And then,
20. I said
okay, but
most
you-
Indians like to work or overwork. I didn't say
Okay,
I
but
would
then,
like to.
Then the boss is seeing you working
Yeah.
round the clock.
Mm-hmm.
So won't they expect it?
It varies. Not every Indian wants to be that way. You know,
Okay.
I grew up here. These Indians migrated after their 30s and they have families to raise. They didn't grow up here, and that's where the differences come in.
Okay.
I mean, I mentioned it to my parents, and I was like, there's no way in the world I could work the way you folks could work.
because you're a different generation.
And we're a different generation.
I want to talk about that. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about not only the different generations of Indians, but there are Indians that don't like other Indians, and for what reasons and why, and what do they really eat to get them so healthy. We'll be right back.
There's nothing more disruptive and annoying than getting an automated call to your cell phone. There are laws against companies using computers or recorded messages to call you on your cell phone without your permission. This is consumer protection attorney Carrie Flitter. You've heard me as a guest on the Pearl Polto Show. There are consumer laws in place that prohibit many of the unwanted calls to your cell phone. If you're receiving unwanted or unauthorized calls, whether collection, selling products or services, or otherwise, you may be entitled to have these calls stopped and to collect money damages that the law provides. If you're getting unwanted or pre-recorded calls to your cell phone, contact us, the Consumer Protection Lawyers at Flitter Lorenz, at 888-668-1225. That's 888-668-1225, or online at consumerslaw.com. That's consumers with an S, consumerslaw.com. If we accept your case, the bad guys pay our bill.
You're listening to the Pearl Polto Show. Let me remind you, next week is Thanksgiving, but the show must go on, and we're having back Fireman Mike. He's coming back because he's a little bit disgusted with the city still doing, and so am I. That's why he's coming back. He's going to say it like it is. And don't forget, go to my website, pearlpolto.net, and go to see the changes. If you want to buy your loved ones anything this year, go to www.amazon.pearlpolto.net or go to my website and push the .net. And if you get a CD, get Josie's CD, you will love it, I can assure you. And I made a vow one time on Facebook, and I said it and I meant it. If you don't like it, I'll buy it off you. And I'm sure you will like it. That's how much, my guest today, we're doing a touchy show, and some of you like it, some of you don't like it, but it's the reality in our country. We have much prejudice in our country, and we have much prejudice in different nationalities even. And I'm wearing my Italian shirt because I'm finding out years ago, when I was growing up, as I said, my father said we weren't allowed in the church because we were dark skinned. And there's so much prejudice that's going on in this country, and even today, it shouldn't be, but there is. And many people, when they see Indians, especially Indians, like they come here. We have Japanese, we have Chinese. We don't have the Italian market anymore in South Philly. We have a lot of Chinese now down in South Philly, in the Philadelphia area. In all areas, it's different nationalities. Why can't we all get along? Because we have a problem with one another. We have a problem with one another, as you hear my guest say, when she goes to work in the workplace. She wants to work all these hours, and her boss won't allow her to work all these hours. And then she gets a case of the ass because she wants to work, and the American got her job, and she thinks the American is lazy. And this happens all over. I can't say she's wrong because she is right. I mean, you can go anywhere in these. We're all foreigners. We're all foreigners in this country, and we have to all get along. But the problem is we're not getting along. When we went back to the commercial, I said, do Indians like other Indians? Well, it's interesting because I don't think you know this. I didn't. Why does Indians not get along with other Indians? Is there a separation between two Indians?
I actually have asked other nationalities the same question because I thought that I might be feeling it might just be me, but it's not. It's every nationality. I've asked my Romanian friends, my Italian friends, and they've told me, Neen, it's just so much easier to work with somebody else than your own kind for some reason.
Okay.
We can't figure out what it is, but there's just something about
when you say
your own kind. I don't know. I really don't understand.
Like another Indian, you mean?
Like another Indian.
Now, why doesn't Indians? I mean, there's two separate Indians, correct?
Two separate types.
Is it religion that make them separated?
It's religion, where they're from, the state, their language. Those three things.
So you can live next door to another Indian and both of you won't get along.
We might not
Is it
get along.
possible?
It's possible.
And you won't get along for what reasons? Because of religion or because of personalities?
Your indifferences or your personality. I don't know. Your similarities sometimes.
Now, you see, with you, what happens to the people that are Indians that come to this country? I see it all the time. They're dressed in gowns. They have this red spot on their head.
Red
What
dot.
is that? What is it?
The red dot is a symbol of you being married.
Okay. Okay. The red dot means you just got married or you are married.
It's a
correct?
symbol that you're married.
Okay. Now,
Right.
why, when
You
you
don't
come
have-
into this country, why are they still wearing gowns?
They wear it around the house like people wear pajamas here.
Okay. Because, I just don't
That's
get
all.
it. I don't get it. If you come to this country for the American dream, then be a part of the American dream.
Right.
Be a part of American. We're not asking you to change.
But some people don't want to change their ways.
Okay.
They don't believe that just because they migrated to another country that they have to change to their customs. They have to change to their way of living.
Okay, but you see, you're tempting me
But
to go
I understand what you're coming from.
Go ahead.
What you're thinking that, hey, what are all these foreigners doing in America? And they're trying to live their way, not our way, the American way.
because a lot of foreigners do not even speak the language.
That's because they're still around their own kind too much. Whereas like the Mexicans, a lot of Spanish, Indians, the Chinese, the Vietnamese, the Japanese. If you stay around your own kind, you're not going to be able to explore what America is about.
So whose fault is that?
I mean, their own.
So it's their own fault.
Their own fault.
We had, it was just recently, and it was recently on the street that I live on, accidents. And the accidents were from foreigners. Not only the accidents were from foreigners, but they didn't speak English.
Wow.
And some of the firemen that came up said, maybe we should teach foreigners and have them take their driver's license again. Now, my question to you is, and I'm not prejudiced, but I'm going to ask you, how come Indians can't drive?
It's not all of them.
Okay, now I'm being prejudiced then, because I'm putting you all in the same category. I mean, it's
You can't just judge one Indian and say all Indians can't do a certain
But then
thing.
you
know
come
what I
into
mean?
this country, you got a driver's license.
I don't know how. There are
How
other
did you get a
ways.
driver's license?
I had to take a test.
You had to take a test to get your driver's license.
I don't know if those Indians took a test.
But if they don't speak English, how are they supposed to take a test?
I don't know.
If they don't speak English, how are you supposed to read the signs up above?
There's translations for everything.
I agree, but not on the American streets.
They're translators in every field nowadays. So I don't know how they got their license. I don't know.
Okay, you
but
don't
I
know
got
how
mine
they got
the
their
right
license.
way. I got mine
You don't
the
know
right
how
way.
they got their license, and yet every store. Now, you said, and let me tell you the American side now.
Okay.
We live in America. I live in America. I'm Italian, but I'm Italian American. I can't go up and down our streets without seeing stores that I don't even understand the language.
Go in and ask.
Well, that's great, but why I wouldn't go to India and put a whole new store there where I only want the business of my kind.
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? What specific store are you talking about?
I'm talking about there's stores in the United States
Right.
that are run by foreigners, but they looks like they just want the foreigners because when you walk in there, you feel like you're in the UN. You can't even understand anything.
Oh, like,
so why
you
can't
mean-
that be? Yes, there's Russian stores, there's Indian stores,
Right.
but I feel like I'm living in another country anyway. So I mean, and you're saying you don't like being in this country.
Maybe they're open mainly for their own kind, but Americans are welcome as well.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Since it's open in America.
The Americans are welcome. What am I eating there? I have no idea. I can't read the list. You don't speak English,
Well,
so how would I
we
know?
come to America and we have to try all these different types of foods. It's the same feeling you're getting when you walk into a store like that, I would assume.
But you're coming to our country,
It doesn't
so
matter.
why wouldn't you have welcome everybody?
That's what I'm saying. Americans are welcome there too.
No, they're not,
They are.
because the signs are in the language only. the signs.
I don't know. I've seen boards.
I have been into an Indian restaurant, and I was saying, I don't even know how to read.
It was in an Indian language?
Indian language.
Really?
And then I
Which
said,
restaurant is
why
this?
do you want us to come in if we don't even understand?
I'm sure they had an English translation.
No, they had
on the
pictures of
brochure.
it. They had pictures. And you know what? And
Pearl,
this
you're
is
funny.
what we have to go by is pictures. But what if I came to your country? How would your... Now,
Our country has everything in English. British English.
Your country has everything in English, but you
English,
come to our country...
English and our languages.
So, okay, India has... So why wouldn't I want to go there to live?
You would have a nice time in India. India has changed.
So why aren't the people going back to India?
Many, actually, like I mentioned to you, I don't have the information in front of me right now, but a lot of people have gone back and are going back to India.
For the reason because of the Americans are self-centered, as you put it, or selfish?
Their own personal reasons, but they see more life, or there are other reasons why they want to go back, and they're there.
Is it a poor
permanently
section or a rich section, India?
There's two, rich and poor, but mainly the poor. These are mainly the well-educated are going back.
The well-educated. And let me tell you what I'm also appalled by. And again, I'm not prejudiced. I feel like I'm doing a Jerry Seinfeld commercial here. Again, I'm not prejudiced. But the scams that are going on in this country, the scams of the telephones, the scams of the computers, they all go back to India. Yeah. And it's the telemarketing that's contacting us are from India. And then when we yell to say, you have to follow laws here, they're saying, no, we don't have to. We're not from this country. So why are they allowed? I can't do it to India. Why are they allowed to do it to us?
I really don't know, but all of the telecommunications companies have been outsourced to either China or India.
Okay.
So I'm not...
A lot of virus companies are from India.
I'm not sure exactly why. I can't answer your question completely. But because of the wages, I guess, they're getting... They're able to provide more jobs and pay them in rupees than dollars, so they have outsourced a lot of these jobs.
So they're getting paid more in India by staying in India.
Right.
Like the telemarketers are getting paid more in India than they are if they came over here to the United States. Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying that they outsource so they can make more money and spend less in dollars.
Okay. Because when a telemarketing, like even me, like I did a show on scams here, and one of them was a scam with the telemarketing, and I contacted the phone company, and they said, you're not going to believe this, they used the phone in Louisiana, but they weren't from this country.
Right.
So they're even using telephone numbers from this country. I don't know how they're doing it.
Right.
But either they're Einstein in India, but all the jobs are going to India. And then the Americans are saying, well, we don't have the jobs here anymore.
Right.
And then Americans are saying, well, how can they come here and open up all these businesses and we can't? We can't even work a 9-to-5 job. What's your answer to that? When somebody is saying, I want to open up a Dunkin' Donuts and I can't.
Well, you have to be dedicated to what you want to do. You can't make a wish and be like, oh, I want to do this, and then wake up the next day and say, oh, I can't live up to this. I can't wake up at 4 a.m, go to Dunkin' Donuts to make the donuts. You have to really commit yourself.
Where's the money
like
coming
mind,
from?
body, and soul.
Where is the money coming from?
The money's coming from other family members, or they've earned the money.
No, and I also was told you don't have to pay taxes for 7 years or so many years.
Something like that, right.
So, but Americans have to pay taxes on it. So this is why there's a little bit of friction here between the countries.
Well, you have to do your homework when you want to set up a business. You have to do all the homework.
So why don't you open up a business then?
Oh, I don't have the support.
Okay, because I was going to say, if it's that easy, then why don't you just open up a Dunkin' Donuts store down the street or something?
No, I'm not interested in Dunkin' Donuts.
You're not interested in Dunkin' Donuts with it?
No more donuts.
Now, before I go to the questions, I'm going to go to the questions that were emailed me. But I want to know, what do the people, and this is what I'm 100 plus for, because I've tried it, I love it, and they're healthy. What do people eat in India? Or what do people eat here that are from India? But what is the foods, the normal foods that are so healthy that the Indians eat?
Well, there are different types of foods that Indians eat, but my family mostly eats. We're mainly vegetarian.
Do you go to Burger King? You go to McDonald's?
Not every day. Mainly, we cook our meals at home.
You cook your meals at home. How come?
It's healthier, cheaper,
And there's the wages again with the money. You said it's healthier and it's cheaper, but
and it tastes good too.
I was going to say that's not the only reason. When you walk by somebody's place and they're cooking, you see the ingredients that they're cooking with.
Right.
And Indians are healthy people, obviously. So they're doing something right that we're doing something wrong with the foods. What do you think the food is with Americans and foreigners?
Well, what I've observed is most Americans like the fast foods.
Right.
Normally, when foods are cooked within like 3 to 5 minutes, normally that's not very good for the body to absorb. When you cook it at a low heat and then you have that food, it works differently in your body.
Okay, so that's a health thing there.
Right. That's what I've studied as well.
Okay, so your eating habits are better than our eating habits. This is why you say that the Americans are fat, because if we're going to fast foods all the time, right? And you're eating vegetables,
Soups, rice, and the whole wheat chapatis, mainly, every day.
So when you go into an American restaurant, or don't you go into an American restaurant, what do you order?
I go out to eat. I'll eat Italian food like pastas that doesn't have too much meat in it. Pizzas. I can eat Mexican food with beans. Chinese food, lo mein, fried rice. Sometimes we can. I mean, not all Indians are vegetarians.
Okay, some Indians do eat meat.
They eat meat. They eat, all kinds of meat, all kinds of seafood, fish. It varies.
I was turned on to I think it's called turmeric.
Turmeric, yes.
What is that? I take that every day as a vitamin, and I take it every day as a spice. But what is it? You would know it. It's from India.
Turmeric is we add that to get color, but it works as an antibiotic, and it purifies your blood.
So turmeric works as an antibiotic,
and it purifies your blood.
Now, what did you say, which was interesting, about cinnamon?
Cinnamon has a lot of benefits.
You said it was a cure?
Cinnamon, I believe it reduces high blood pressure and a lot of other illnesses.
Like diabetes in this country?
Diabetes, there are other cures, but I'm not sure about diabetes.
What do you think? Now, how's your, I'm sure you're married, single?
Single.
You're single. What do you think of the American men here?
I don't have too much experience with them, but they're right.
Well, you're a pretty girl, so do they want to get married? Are they come on strong, or they just stay away from you because you got your own thoughts and independence about foreigners?
They don't stay away from me, but because I have 2 children, I have a lot of conflicts with a relationship, or to maintain a relationship.
Your relationships, are they with the Americans or with the Indians?
Well, Americans, I had a relationship with Italian American.
Well, Italians are good people.
They're good. They're good. But
all Italians are good people, I say. But the thing is,
they're good. They're good to me.
Is foreigners, like to you, we are a foreigner. When I heard you say, well, there's a lot of foreigners in your country, but then that's me. And I'm saying, well, she's calling me a foreigner. But then we call you foreigners.
We're all foreigners.
We're all foreigners.
Yeah.
But, it makes you think.
But you would think sometimes I think about racism and discrimination and how like things were going on as we studied in history class. And you would think that, it has disappeared or has gone, but in reality it hasn't. But most people aren't able to just say what they want to say or behave a certain way because of the laws,
So they're afraid
and they're afraid to just come out and say certain things. But
because
their
of the hate
body
crimes,
language,
the hate crime.
they don't have to come out and say what they want to say. Their body language says so much.
Okay. In other words, like, what do you mean by
Like
body
body
language?
language or the way they behave towards you or around you.
Or don't want nothing to do with
Or
you.
some people won't even make eye contact.
Okay.
And you just know that you're not liked or you're not wanted.
When you came into this country, though, even like if you just came in this country and you see the prejudice was black and white,
Right.
the African Americans
Right.
and white, well, what happened there? It's not the prejudice isn't
No,
with the
well,
African Americans anymore.
No, I'll be honest with you. I went to a Catholic school growing up here, and I never mentioned this to my parents. And predominantly it was white. We were brown skin, and we were tortured. I hated going to school. That's why I never went to. I never wanted to go to another Catholic high school. I said, we're going to get treated the same way. I said, Dad, I'm not going to a private high school. No doubt the discipline was very good. The education was decent. But this other treatment that we got from the other students, I can never forget it.
Now, what was the treatment?
They were just prejudiced and racist.
Okay, but what would they do to you? I mean, would they just
Well,
pick a fight?
number one, they didn't know basically where we came from, so they thought we were American Indians. So
Okay.
they would always make fun of us. Then our diet, we wouldn't eat like burgers and, we would eat our own food. We would take it from home. And we were brown skinned, so we were always like just made fun of. It was I could never
So they would pick on you.
all the time, every day.
So they would pick on you from the lunch area, what you were
In the
eating?
lunchroom. And on
And
and
how
off.
would you handle that? How did you handle
I
that?
just ignored it.
Well, I'm sure when you went home,
I ignored it, but as you could see, it bothered me.
of course,
a
it's
whole
still
lot.
there. It's still there
Yeah.
because you still
and
you're
for and
carrying it.
because of that reason, I went to George Washington High School where I loved going to school because there were like different nationalities, but during my high school years for 4 years, I did not even say hello to a white person.
You were afraid or just didn't?
I didn't feel like it.
Okay, so you got cocky then.
Because I thought that they all had the same mentality, but they didn't.
Okay, what do you call the mentality? Did you call it wise
No,
mouth
I
or
just
stupid
I just
or
thought that they would be racist towards
Okay.
me because of how I was treated at school. But then I broke out of it.
Yeah, but you said you were quiet. Is the one I was telling you about the girl that was afraid to go on the bus? And when I heard that by saying, well, she used to go on the bus and go to the back of the bus because she thought somebody would pick a fight with her. Well, that's what you're saying would happen to you in school, but she's an adult and she was afraid to go on. And I was shocked hearing this.
I wasn't afraid of them. I mean, I would go to school every day, sit in class with them, talk to them.
Right.
There were a lot of nice people too. There were like a few that didn't really know where we came from. And then I remember my 6th grade teacher, like she really noticed it. And she brought it to the children's attention. And she would just be like, this is not the proper way to be. She's not this type of Indian, to leave me alone. I think I probably mentioned it to her because, I can only take so much. I can't just like fake something. There's a limit to everything. So, but I can never forget that experience of my life. Never.
So you're going through
And
the same
actually,
thing.
my son feels the same way. He has come home and told me the same thing. He's like, Mom, I wish I was white. And I said, don't you ever say that.
He really?
I said, don't you ever say that you wish you were something else.
How old's your son?
He's 13.
He's 13 and he's coming home from school.
Yeah.
Living in America saying, I wish I was white.
Yeah.
So he must be getting picked on too.
He's not getting picked on, but I guess I don't know. He didn't go into detail. But I said, you should be proud of what you are. I said, don't feel that way. You should be proud of who you are and what you are.
Interesting.
I said, there are other nationalities that are just a shade darker than us. So we blend right in. Don't worry.
No, you're right. You're right. We have a quick questions here. One of the questions was, how come why doesn't anybody in your race have an animal, dogs or cats, or do they?
Oh, they do, but not too many.
How come?
I don't know. I believe.
I mean, we were told by the Japanese that they cooked the animals, so we were
wow.
leery. So that's why I think that this one question came. And another question is, but you do have dogs and animals.
We have dogs and cats.
Another question that came in by email, and they were raw, but I thought, I'm going to say it anyway. What does an Indian eat? Why they smell the same? They all smell the same.
Oh, that's an interesting question. Okay, once I used to work at a dry cleaners, and I worked there for a while, and every nationality that comes in, they carry a scent. For
Italians are garlic.
True. Italians are garlic. The Indians are spices. The Russians they smell like tea. Every nationality carries a specific odor. So that's your answer.
That's your answer. So it's what they're eating.
It's what they're eating that you smell.
All right, that part I can understand. If you're Italian and you eat a lot of garlic, it comes out of you with it. Does anybody in India get cancer as they do here?
I guess yes. Many do. I don't know. I haven't done the research and studies, but
you still have friends in India?
A lot of family relatives.
Okay,
yes.
But is there more sickness over in India as there are here with the cancer? If we had cancer here,
I don't know about that. I don't hear too many cancer cases.
Not too many cancer cases there. What do you think? You already answered this. What do you think of the fast food stores here? The fast foods restaurants.
In what perspective? In what way?
Well, obviously, I'm assuming what you think of the fast foods here is because they see Indians there's not that many that eat fast foods.
Not every day. At least I don't. I would never recommend it to anybody.
Because,
I don't know, they're very high in calories, and most of it's fried. Not everything. I don't recommend fast foods every day.
Well, I'm not an Indian, and I don't recommend it either because, you're never going to stay healthy.
Indian or non-Indian, right.
Yeah, with fast foods in it. When you come into this country, why does Indians still wear the dresses of India and not here?
Oh, they mainly wear them on their festivals.
Because that's an occasion?
They have a lot of festivals and occasions in India. Every month there's something going on.
Okay, now this is one question I have, and I need an answer to this one. Why is it that every Indian here has the name Patel? Everybody's name is Patel.
No,
why?
My name's not Patel.
Well, your name isn't, but everybody's name is Patel.
There are a lot of Indians.
Is that relatives you were talking about that comes over?
A lot of relatives or a lot of people who migrate from India. Their last names happen to be Patel. One of the names. That's just one of the names.
It's just one of the names, but there's so many Patels.
There's so many, but that's just one of them.
That's interesting because every time, like I always say when I meet an Indian, I'll say, "Don't tell me your last name's Patel." They'll say, "Yes, it is," and I'm saying, "With figures, I can imagine a driver's license, or everybody's name is the same, or credit." How is the credit? How does the Indians get credit here when they come into this country? Is it tough for you or easy for you? And me being a credit expert, I want to know. That part I want to know.
They pretty much do their homework.
Okay.
They get the advice from their other relatives who've been here for many years, and they establish themselves, and they're pretty good with the system.
Okay.
System meaning, of getting their credit, paying their bills on time.
Do all Indians have homes?
They're predominantly very stable.
They're
stable
stable.
community.
When you come over here, do they all want homes, or do they still want the apartments? Are they in apartments here when they come here, or do their goal is to get a home?
They start low and go up. Most of them, I would assume, start low, and then, depending on their situation, they would buy a home.
The other question is, why does the husbands of India let the wives do all the work?
Well, it depends on the husband. They're brought up that way. For example, their fathers, they were probably brought up that way, seeing their father, treat their mother that way, and then they carry on that way. Or, I don't know, it depends on the person, I guess. Depends on the husband.
Because I've always wondered about that.
Right.
Why does the wife work harder than the husband?
There are some husbands who want their wives to stay home too.
Okay, just like the Americans do that.
Right.
It all depends on the
Depends
situation.
on the situation.
Our show today, I'm hoping you got educated where I'm seeing, it's not the foreigners that are hurting. I think it's us, the way we're thinking that's happening in this country. Because she has the same problems that we do. And we have the same beefs that she does. And, and everything that I said about the stores, well, she's saying it too about the employers. But I think it's pretty sad if you come into this country and then you say, I can't wait, I want to go back. Because, why would you want to go back and you have the opportunity here? The old saying is, why can't we all get along? And we will never get along. We will never get along. And I don't believe that we'll ever get along because of the friction. But I'm hoping it answered a lot of your questions. Why all Indians have Dunkin' Donuts and not all Indians have Dunkin' Donut stores. But it's how hard you work. And I think I can understand now that I hear her answers, that she feels Americans are lazy. Yeah, we do want. I went with a Greek guy one time, and we were driving through the cities of New York, and he owned a pizza place. And he said, I'm looking for an employment. I said, I know a person. And he said, no. I don't want it. I don't want an American. I said, why? And he said, because Americans, they have it made here. The Greeks will work their ass off, and the Americans won't. They want everything expected to them. They want their days off. And I'm saying, are you serious? And he said, yeah. He said, I have a guy there now that works 20 hours a day and he'll kill himself. He said, and then I had an American there that says, I need tomorrow off. I need the next day off. Does that ring a bell?
That rings a bell.
Well, this is from a Greek, not from an Indian. So this is where I learned about, the customs. Now I work the way I want to work because I want to accomplish a lot, just like everybody else out there. So instead of getting jealous, the next time you see a foreigner, because we're foreigners too, to them, but the next time you see a foreigner in your workplace or your school or your neighborhood, look at them to say, can I help you? Can I help you? Because I think that'll, turn the tables. I do it every day. Can I help you at something? Can I know you're speaking broken English. Can I help you, with the phone calls and all? And it does work because then they respect you. And that's the key word, respect. If you respect them, they will respect you. And that's the key of living in America. That's the key. Because just as she does it, I get frustrated too and saying, that's it, I'm going to Italy. And I've never been to Italy. But you know what? It's a getaway. And it's our frustration. So for her to say, I want to go back to India, I don't believe she wants to go back to India. I believe it's a frustration that she's having here. And that frustration is going to pass one day because all of us will get together because eventually we're all in the same boat. If you want something bad enough, you want a Dunkin' Donuts, prove it, get it, work for it. If you want to own your own business, prove it, work for it. It does happen. We're not going to let it happen if we sit back to say, well, they're getting away with everything and they're getting everything. You're never going to get what you want. And that's the sad part, but I don't think we're going to change that much in history. I know I will because I want to get along with everybody out there, and I think you will too. I want to thank you for giving your honest opinions.
You're welcome, Pearl.
Because you said it like it is, and a lot of people are afraid to. And you're one person. You're one person to say it like it is. And everybody out there, next time you're walking down the street and you see a foreigner, say, hey, Watch the Pearl Polto show because maybe you'll learn a lot. Next week is the Fireman Mike. And don't forget, get Josie's album. Go to thepearlpolto.net and get it all. I want to thank everybody for tuning into the show. Let's make this the hottest show in town around the country. We're going to have a lot of hot shows on, and next week's going to be another one. This is Pearl Polto, as always, making the most of your credit, giving credit where credit's due. Tonight, it is to the foreigners. We are the foreigners.